Welcome back to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games, and welcome to my guide on combat in Flashpoint Campaign's Southern Storm. So if you're looking at this game and you're like, oh my god, this game is so confusing, I don't know what to do not worry, I have a guide for you. It's a guide for beginners. It'll be down in the description or up in the I button. But this guide is assuming that you at least understand the basics, so either watch the guide or play the game yourself or whatever. So how will this guide work? So first of all, we're going to talk about how you can see the combat results of the different combat, and then we'll talk about the combat itself. So in order to see the results, you can do a couple things. You can right click on a unit and go to unit dashboard, and then here in the unit log, you will see the losses of the game. Additional info here, by the way, is that if a unit take a loss, sometimes it will be given out in new order, as you can see over here. And that order is not order that you would give. It's just sort of like an automatic order based typically on the standard operating procedures. If you want to know more, you can check out the basic guides I mentioned. Another way to figure out is you can open up a radio log, which will give you all the information, but watch out with the radio log that it also gives you information about like orders and sit reps if you're standing in position, so you just need to find the loss column there, and then it will give you a hex where whatever loss happened, and you can find the hex by hovering the mouse around, and then on the bottom it's telling you what hex you're on, so this way you can find the right hex. Sometimes when the combat the phase is playing on, you will see this sort of small pop-up that says combat results inside the game itself. Alright, so now that we talked about how you can see the combat results, how does this combat actually work? How is it resolved? So if you watched my other guides, you will know that I love formulas. Unfortunately, the manual for this game does not provide a specific formula, but that's okay, they still give out a lot of information. So first of all, the combat is sort of resolved during the turn resolution phase. So as the units are moving with their assault movement or deliberate or hasty or just holding in position, they will look for suitable enemy targets, and then they will decide who they want to attack or not. And if they find a suitable target, then the combat will be resolved on a sub-unit level. So each sub-unit will look at the number of ammo it wants to use and based on its own weapons how much it wants to attack. It will sort of calculate its own range to target, base accuracy, its own orders, crew quality, suppression from incoming fire, multiple targets, and special bonuses, and it will give this information to the defending unit, and then the defending unit from this information will calculate its own losses, and it takes into account its protection rating against the type of attack, defender orders, posture, movement, was it moving deliberately so it has better defense, was it moving hastily so it gets worse defense, stealth, terrain bonus, weather, range, and other special bonuses as armor. Couple of important points here is the defender is penalized if he has not seen the attacker, so it's considered like an ambush for the first few shots. And if the range is 1 or less, the enemy gets a flanking bonus. So the idea is that the enemy is kind of like near the unit, so it can sort of move around and maybe spread around the unit it's attacking because it's so close it has that option. The attacker, of course, uses up the ammo by doing the damage. And the important thing about the attacker is that it's then in the firing status, which makes it easier for other units to spot it. So if someone else is attacking this attacker, then they will do more losses because it can be easily seen. Now, also another thing that affects the damage taken or given is readiness. And when you're attacking, it will actually lower your readiness because the idea is that you have to handle like firing and loading weapons. If you're defending, you will lose both readiness and morale because you're getting shot at. If you manage to kill a defender or kill someone, make them take losses, you might gain a morale bonus. Units will not stay in position. We already talked about in the beginner guide a little bit here, but essentially if a unit gets shot at a lot, or if its readiness or morales are low, it will try to move away and retreat to a safer location. So this is how you deal sort of in general fires and specifically with direct fires, but there's also indirect fire in this game. Sometimes you may shoot at a target without really seeing it, so it will rely on another unit to spot the target and give information. The idea here is if you're trying to use something like artillery or mortars or rockets, typically you will not be like close enough to the enemy to actually see them, but you will be given information shoot there. Now, typically, though not always, you will be attacking at a specific hex, and the way the attack works is that it lasts over a certain duration. So if your attack is spread out throughout a certain time frame. So essentially, how you might be doing 100 shots for 10 minutes, so you'll be shooting every minute 10 rounds, and you will be typically focusing on a specific hex. But because this is a Wego game, the enemy units might be moving in and out of that hex during the time, so it's going to be looking about who is there when you're shooting there, and you can see the animations of these sort of like blowing things up on a hex, and that's when you're shooting at it. And someone might be there or might not, they might move away. So you can see that they destroyed the unit here and they continuously shoot at that spot. Alright, next let's talk about fire support. So when you're doing these indirect fires with like artillery or other supportive units, how does it actually determine like who to shoot at, right? Like how does it decide? Because if you have like a unit here, let me actually turn this off. So if you have like a unit here, I can set up like specifically, I can say I want to do suppression fire, neutralizing fire, or smoke. So this is like a direct instruction. Like I can say I want you to do suppression fire over here, for example. But if you click on this and you set it on call, which on call means that it can be given out orders later, what does that actually mean? How does it determine whether my artillery will shoot or not? Well, for this, you have this fire support here on the staff. And first of all, here you can see your fire support assets. So currently I only have one mortar. Here you can see the fire missions, if you were given any active missions. And here is this Fire Support Control Center, FSCC. And this will determine where your artillery or other units like this will shoot at. So the way this works is, if an artillery unit is on call, it's ready to receive sort of requests from other units. So first let's talk about who can tell the artillery that it needs support. So you can either have direct support, in which these artillery units are connected to a specific set of other units, for example tanks or infantry, or just like specific set, and anyone from that set can say I need your support, but no one else. So for example, this artillery, let's say that this mortar only supports this 3 units. So if this unit needs help, this one will not help it. It will just not do anything. You can also have general support. So these are artillery assets that will take a request for fires from any friendly unit on the map. And it will process them based on target site, urgency, and availability. And that's what this FSCC is handling. So essentially what is happening here is that these spotters, these units, are telling, for example, here at, let's say, 3918. So let's check where 3918 is. So that's over here. We are requesting a support to attack at this contact 1334 to presumably help this unit, this specific unit, because they're encountered in combat. So this unit is saying, hey, I need some support. I need you to help me. And then this mortar will attack that unit. And you can see that here in this, if you go back to this fire support. So it was one of these spotters was this 2RC1 mech. So this one said, hey, I need help here. And then also this HQ, it can also see that it said, hey, like I need your help. I need you to assist me here. And you can see a priority here, how important it is that you do it now, because you only have one mortar, so the mortar will do this based on priority. So it will focus on this specific unit instead of on some soft targets down here, because that's not so dangerous to us right now. The fire support requests can also be discarded. So if it takes too much time between the moment that the request was sent out and between the time that I can get to it. So for example, if you look at the 1749, if it took us too long to respond to it because we were focusing on other targets, then we will sort of disregard this. And the idea is that an enemy unit might be able to move away in the meantime. We will not try to shoot there because we would be shooting on an empty ground. And what the FSCC's job is to sort of match the artillery unit that will respond with the order. So a couple things to add here, like obviously it has to be in range. So if you click here on this fire support coverage, you can see the coverage of this unit. So my mortar actually doesn't have a coverage onto this unit, so it actually can't help and shoot at it. You would need another mortar that's actually closer. So how does this relate to what if I set up the barrage attack? Well, when you're setting up the barrage, you will give it duration, and once the duration is gone, then the unit will go back to on call, which means that it will be ready to answer any of the FSCC calls. You can also set a unit to go to counter battery, and counter battery means that it will be trying to shoot at other artillery units to sort of stop them from shooting at you. And the way this works is that if there is any counter battery mission, for example, if I had a mission to try to, let's say, handle this hex over here, so if someone spotted this hex and was saying in the fire support was asking to handle this, which we do not actually have, so nobody's focusing in this one, but if we had it, it would go prioritize to any artillery of yours that you've marked as counter battery. So it will try to focus on those first, and if there is no counter battery artillery ready, it will sort of revert to those that are on call. I think that might be all for this particular guide. If you'd like to see a guide about a specific topic in this game, let me know in the comments. All right, bye-bye.